Welcome to the fastest stop in town. Today we're going to this Yoma Daf Samach Tes. We are going to begin today on Samach Tes with Aleph, the second line from the top, with the words Poshtin ume kaplin umenichin oisin tachas rashehem, that he would fold up the garments and put it underneath their head. And we learn out from here, Shma minam big dikahuna nitnu lehanas mehem. The fact that he could use this as a pillow is proof that the Kohen is allowed to use his begadim even if it's not avoda related. Maybe you're not actually underneath the head, just next to it, because he actually cannot use it as a pillow, because maybe he's not on the hana. We can learn from here that the tefillin from the side is okay. It says Rashi, to put them next to you while you're sleeping, and we're not concerned that a person may not have a guf naki with its tefillin. So hachinami mistabra, it's logical to keneged rashehem. That only means next to the head. These are underneath the head. The typically mishum kilayim da'ika avni. The problem is that he is not allowed to wear shatnez. In addition to the fact that maybe he's not allowed to get hana, but even if, let's say, he's allowed to get hana from these clothes, but if he's not doing the avoda, he should not be allowed to wear the avne, which is a mixture with wool and linen. Now, nehinami the nitnuli hanis behen ham is hani mikilayim. He's not allowed to use it, so therefore it must be it was under his head. So nichol mandir avne shel kohen gadol zehu avne shel kohen hedget. That it's the same one, and therefore it's shatnez. Elaman di'ar avne shel kohen gadol lo zehu avne shel kohen hedget malcolm Amor. The Kohen Gadol's belt was not made out of kilayim, so it's not an issue. Rather, it was completely of linen. Says Rashi, Abneter shel Kohen Gadol b'Yom Kippurim shur shel boots. It was of linen. Zeh Abneter shel Kohen Hedget. This was the regular Kohen's belt all year round. Then kilayim b'Bigdi Kohen Hedget Shaper. It's not considered to be kilayim. The chitem kilayim bilvisha v'halva hu da'aser. Maybe the whole issue of kilayim is dafka wearing it. However, b'hatzna shari, which is spreading it out underneath you, it should not be an issue. That's shari. Vasanya. But we learned, the pasuk says lo yalo lecha, aval ata mutu latzio tachtecha. It says, but you are allowed to put it underneath you. Aval amr chacham, the chacham said, even though maybe meikar adin it's allowed, but aser d'rabbanan lasus kain shema ticharich nima achas al b'sarai. Maybe it'll wrap around your flesh, around your body, and therefore because of that you'll end up wearing it. The chitem, maybe you can say demafsik le midi beni veni. Maybe he put the belt under other begadim, so it was not directly under him. Yom Rav Shimon Pazim Rabbi Shimon Levi Amar Rabbi Mishum Kal Kedish Rishlayim. No, that doesn't help. Now, feel Esther Matzai Zogab Zet. Even if you have 10 garments, one on top of the other, Ukilayim Tachteim Asalishalayim, you still can't sleep under it. Even if you're completely separated by 10 other matzais. Elav Shmamina Kigin or Hashem Shmamina. It must be it was by him but not under his head. Rav Ashi Omar Lo Tachas Hashem. Maybe it was actually under his head. Vaha Kamasani Mikalayim. No, Bigdi Kahuna Kashin Hain. The garments of the Kohen Gadol are very hard, and therefore, because that says Rashi, Ve'enu Mechamin, it doesn't warm you up. Vafikach in Behem Mishum Kilayim. So it's not an issue of Kilayim. Kihad Yom Rav Huda Berid of Yeshua, as he says, the high Namta Gamda, the Narash, this particular felt cloth, Sharia is allowed to be worn, even though it was elements of kilayim. It's not an issue because it was, as Rashi says, gamdos kosher. Tashma, bigdi kahuna hayotzim behen l'medina aser. When it comes to the bigdi kahuna, for him to go outside of the Beis Hamikdash, that is not allowed. As Rashi says, shenoig b'derech chayil. He's acting like in a weekday manner. However, the mikdash ben b'shas avoid, ben shal b'shas avoid mutim. Bigdi kahuna newly hanus behen shmamina. The farish outside of the Beis Hamikdash, no. But in the Beis Hamikdash, even if he's not engaged in the abode, he's allowed to, and this in fact is the proof. Question 8. He mutter libosh bigdi kahuna shlo b'shas avoida maskana. So Medina is aser, Mikdash is mutter. Medina lo, is it true that a kohen gadol can't wear these bigdi kahuna outside? Masanya, and we have a very fascinating story. Be'eser v'chamisha b'tevis on the 25th of Tevis Yom Har Grizim Hu Dolo Misboid. You're not supposed to have a eulogy. Yoim shebikshu kutim es beis Elokeinu Melchsandrus moikton, that Alexander the Great came. Lachrivo v'noslohem. He was going to destroy the base of Mikdash. Baba haidiu es Shimon Tzadik ma'asu. So you have to figure out what to do to be able to prevent Alexander the Great from destroying the temple. So Lomash Bigdi Kahuna, and this is the question: how is he allowed to do this? But he wore the Bigdi Kahuna. V'nisati b'Bigdi Kahuna, u'miyakir Yisrael imoy. The nobles were with him. Jabuka shel or b'deihem. They were having torches. V'chol lailo halolu hoyachim et sadzeh v'lo hoyachim et sadzeh. One went to this side, one to this side. Ad shalom at shachar until the morning. Kiman shalom at shachar amalhem mi halol. Who are these people? Samalo Yehudim shimardu b'cha. These are the Jews that are rebelling against you, Alexander. Kiman shegia la'anti patres zarchachama, the sun shine. Upagu zebazeni met one another. Kiman shirol Shimon Tzadik. However, once Alexander the Great cast his eyes upon Shimon Tzadik, Yored Mirchavto, he went off of his chariot, Yishtachvu Afanav, and he bowed to him. Armelo Melech Gadol Kamoisli, Yishtachvu Yehudi Zeh. What are you doing bowing down to this Jew? So him, he says, you don't understand. The mus diyunku shel zeh minatzachas lefnei beis milchamti. Every time before I fight, there is an image of this great person, and I always wondered who it was. And that person apparently was instrumental in my success in battle. And this turns out that is the same person that's standing in front of me. And therefore I owe him a great level of gratitude. Amalahem lama basim, so what'd you come? So Amal Esher Bayis Shemispalin Boylecha, the house that we're davening for you, Yal Malchuscha, and on your kingship, Shot Charev, we don't want for it not to be destroyed. Yasnuncha Eidin Kachavim Lahachrivoy. Is it possible that these people are going to try to destroy it? Amalhem Mihalowu. Who are these people that are trying to destroy the base of Mikdash? Amalo Kutim. Hello Shainu Fanat. They're standing before you. Amalhem Harihim Masurim Biadechem Miad Nokvum Bikvechem. He put holes by their heels. Vitalum Bizavni Susehem. And this pretty dramatic death. He hung them by the tails of horses. Vahayu Migayrimaisam Alakoitzim Bial Habar Konim, and he had him dragged by thorns and thistles at Shigil Har Grizim until he reached this place. Shigil Har Grizim Harshuhu Vizaruhu Kershinim Keder Shabikshu Lasos Labes Alokenu Yoisayom Asu Yavdil. So again, the question is actually a question. It's a beautiful story, except for the downfall of these people. But this place where the Kusim were, they died, great. But the problem is, why was he wearing these bigdi kahuna? Must be he was allowed to. The answer is no, he was not allowed to. So why was he doing it? Iboy sema ruin lo bigdi kahuna. It means that it was fit for bigdi kahuna, but they weren't really close to the kohen gadol. Iboy sema islasas Hashem hefer torasecha. That sometimes we could be uproot certain mitzvos in order to uphold the Torah. So he figured to wear the bigdi kahuna and all his splendor, the kabbalah sifares, is the way that he would envision this Shimon Tzadik. And he didn't just saw Shimon Tzadik with a beard, he saw him wearing the bigdi zav. And therefore that's why he had to wear these garments. Look at this Taisus from before. Kashin Hain. Teretz Rabbeinu Tam, the Levishas Balatah, the Havidaraisa, Siri Afil Vakashin. He says that when it comes to wearing shat, even though it's hard, you're still allowed to wear it. Aval Hatzah, the Merabbanal goes of Vakashin. However, again, like maybe putting it as a pillow of sorts, that's a din d'rabbanan, if it's hard. And then all the way down, this last Taisus, you can also say the reason is not because they're allowed to get hana, it's because the Torah is not giving them out the sharis. It's not shaykh that the second you finish the avoda, you're immediately able to take off your bigdi kahuna. There's going to be a few moments, and therefore those few moments, l'chayra, is why it's allowed. Question question 8, we saw imut the livlish big kahuna. Okay. TA 22. Lo hayu yeshayim b'bigdei kodesh ela poishnim l'achnichan tatzor Hashem. So madua inkan mishum chashash kilayim. 3 answers. They want 3 answers to this question. TA 22. So one of the answers we saw was because maybe it was not an issue, because the garment, the beged of the Kohen Gadol was of boots, and it was not of shatnez. So again, Avnei Shel Kohen Gadol maybe was made out of boots, and therefore wasn't an issue. Or maybe it just means keneged rashehan, not that they actually put it on their heads, but all it means is that they put it near their heads as another possible answer. That would be the first answer. The belt is the second answer, and the third is that mishum bigdei kahuna kashinhain, because their garments are not soft, so therefore it's not an issue for them to wear it in this way. Okay, that was TA 22. Fine. TB 24. Eis a davar Torah. Hefer Shimon Atzadik mishum eis lasos Hashem. So this is TB 24. It's actually a softball question. We just did that story. You would imagine that he would know the answer to this question. That he went and he was misatef b'bigdei kahuna. What did I write for question 24? For question 24, I said he wore bigdei Kohen Gadol not during the avoda outside the Beis Hamikdash to hopefully save Klal Yisrael from a gezer. Okay, let's continue with the next part of the Gemara. 2 dots. Chazana Chneses Noitel Sefer Torah. They passed the Sefer Torah from him to him till finally gets to the Kohen Gadol. Shmam Nacholkin Kavod L'Tam B'Makam Around. Here we see that we show kavod to a student even in the place of the Rav, because there were greater people. The Kohen Gadol is greater, and nonetheless he showed respect to them. So Rabbi, no, Kol Mishim Kavod to Kohen Gadol. The Kohen Gadol. This is all to show honor and respect to the Kohen Gadol. The Kohen Gadol Oimid Machlal Shu Yaishe. So it's Machlal. It implies that he was sitting. Ivon and Tanan, as we continue to Samach Testament Beis. Ein Yeshiva B'Azar El Malchim Beis David Bulvad. Shnem Rabbi Yova Hamelch David V'Yeshel L'Fnei Hashem. Only David was able to sit in front of Hashem. No one else. So how was the Kohen Gadol allowed to be sitting? And the answer is K'nem Rav Chisda B'Ezras Nashim Hachanam B'Ezras Nashim. He was in the Ezras Nashim. Ezras Nashim, there was not such a decree. It was in the Beis Hamikdash by the Kodesh, the Ulam, those areas. But Ezras Nashim was allowed. The Heichit Mar Rav Chisda. Meisvei the Sanya Heichen Karin Boy. Where did they actually read it? Ba'azar Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov Omer Bahar Bayis. Shenem Rabbi Yikra B'Lefnei Harachay was done in front of the road. Ashul Lefnei Shar Hamayim, by the gate of the water. The Yomi Rav Chisda Be'ezras Nashim. So again, it means by Ezras Nashim, and therefore that's why he was able to sit down during that time. Question 9. Question 9. Be'ezim Mokam B'Mikdash Hayikarim B'Tar B'Yom Kippur Menolan. So it was Ezras Nashim because that's why he was able to sit down. The pasuk then says, "V'yavarech Ezra es Hashem Elokim Hagadol," that he blessed Hagadol. So my Gadol. So Amar Rav Yosef Amar Rav Shegiblu b'Shem HaMafoirish. Since he went back to the Beis Hamikdash, where Baruch Shem Kavod Malchus Olam V'Od is recited, so that is what it's referring to. Rav Gidol Aimer Baruch Hashem Elokei Yisrael Min Oil Avad Oilam. Armalei Abayil Rav Dimi V'Dilma Shegiblu b'Shem HaMafoirish. Maybe it's talking about the Shem HaMafarish. Amalei Ein Armin Shem HaMafarish B'Gbulim. No, that was not said outside of the Mikdash. Below, I Boksiv Yamad Ezra HaSeifer Al Migdal. He was by this tower Asher also Ladavar. The Omer Rav Gidol Shegidol b'Shem HaMafarish. We see that he did say the Shem HaMafarish even though he was in the Gbulim. So Hara Shahaisa. You're right. He did that, but that was a one-time deal. That was not a normal circumstance. Then the pasuk says, "V'yotzako el Hashem Elokim v'koil gadol." They cried out with a great voice. My Omer, Sama Rav Yitemo Rav Yochanan, Bia Bia, Hainu Hi de Archve Lemikdasha. This is what was referring to the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash. Bia's language of woe, lashon za'aka. The Kalia Lehechala, the burning of the Heichal. The Katlinu Lekul Tzadiki, the killing of the great Tzadikim. V'Aglinu Yisrael Mirayin, they were exiled from their lands. V'Adayin Mirakid Beinon, and they're still literally dancing among us. That is, they're rejoicing over our downfall. Kulam Yahavte Lon El Kbuli Be'agra. It was to accept the reward. Lo Yubinon, Lo Agra Beinon. We don't want the reward. Nafulhu Piska, note came Mirakia from the sky. Dahavi Kasabe Emes. And the word emes came from above. The sign of Hashem is emes. Everything about Torah's emes, Hashem is true. Osivu b'tanisa talasa yoma talasa le'losa. They fasted for 3 days and 3 nights. Masruhu ni'alayhu, and then the Yetzer Hara was granted and given to them. Nafik, we went out to Asaki Guria dinurim beis kodesh kedashim. It went out like a lion cub from the Beis Kodesh Kedashim. Remember who Navi Yisrael Hainu Yitzur Devodas Kachavim. This is referring to the Yetzer Hara of Avodas Kachavim, which is gone now. Shnem Rabbi Yomi Zois Harisha behade the Tafsuole Ishtamit Benise Mimazia, that there was a hair that came from the head. Uramakala Biazukale Arba Meir Parseh, and it came out a scream which was able to be heard 400 parsecs. Amar Heichi Navi Dilmachas Shalom Merachmelim in Shemayim. Maybe Hashem will have compassion. Amalu Navi Shadua Bedudya de Avra. Put it in lead. The Chafyua Lapume Be'avra de Avra Mashiv Shoiv Kala. Because when you put it in lead, it will muffle its sound. Shenem Rabbi Yomer Zos Harisha V'Yashalech Oisach. They said, listen, so since it's an Yisrael, we got rid of the Avodah Zarah, so Niboy Rachme Yitzur de Aveira. Why don't we get rid of the Yetzer Hara of having Tashmish and Gil Urias? So Bo Rachme, so they asked for mercy, V'yim Siviyadayu, and Hashem also granted that. Armuluhu Chazdik Katlisu Leilahu Kalya Alma. He saw that if it would kill, the entire world would be destroyed. What does that mean? So even though they got rid of the Yetzer Hara of the Avodah Zarah, but completely getting rid of it, the world would be completely over. Chavshuhu Talasa Yoma. They locked them up for 3 days. They looked all around, they couldn't even find an egg, because once the Yetzer Hara of Tashmish was gone, so no animals wanted to have relations, and no eggs were created. Amri Heichi Naivid. What are we supposed to do? Nikli Kal Yalma. If we kill it, the world will be destroyed. Can't completely destroy the Yetzer Hara. Niboy Rachmi Apalga. So let's at least have mercy that we should have only half. No, Hashem doesn't give half, doesn't go halfway. So therefore, let's blind the Yetzer Hara's eyes, and then leave him. Which is the reason why no longer does anyone have the Yetzer Hara of having Tashmish with their relative. Therefore, it blinded their eyes. The Merabah must of the Yetzer Hara. Merabah must hachi. Rav Gidol Eimer Gadol Shegidol V'Shem HaMafarish. Rav Masna Eimer Hakela Gadol Hagibur V'Naira. I have a Rav Masna Matal Rav Yeshua Ben Levi. Rav Yeshua Ben Levi. Lam Nekar Shemon Achikanis Agadayla. Why are they called the men of the great assembly? What is the meaning behind that? It comes to tell you Shachzira Tarli Yoshna, that they were able to restore the great crown of glory back to its original status. That's what Moshe said, which of course we have instituted in our Midah. He said, Nachrim Mikarkrim. The Nachrim are celebrating. Where's the fear? Lo Amr Nair. So he stopped saying Nair. Nachrim Mishtabdin Bivanav Ayin Giburasa. they're bowing down, and they're worshiping. Where do we see Hashem's strength? Lomer Gibor. Asa inhu v'amru adarabba. Zuhi gevura. It's unbelievable. No. You tell me this is not strength. This is the unbelievable self-restraint of Hashem. Just like Eza Gibor is a Kavish Yitzray. So, Gevura Asai Shekavish is Yitzray. That's when Eza Gibor is Kavish Yitzray. Hashem could easily destroy them. But by withholding that, Hashem is giving compassion to the wicked. There's no other way they would be able to stand. So actually, it's the opposite. It shows the greatness of Hashem. It shows His tremendous strength to allow people to sin the way they do, and for Him not to destroy. Backward to content to Taka Moshe. How could they remove these words? Moshe said Hakel, Hagadol, right? So Amar Rabbi Elazar Mitayshyan B'Kodesh Baruch Hu Shamitihu Lafikach Lo Kizvu Boy. Because Hashem is true, so therefore because Hashem represents His MS, so therefore we remove it, because otherwise people are going to say it's not true, that Hashem is not MS. So we don't want to even say these words to end up giving a false impression. So the Kohen Gadol reads from these sections. Or Minhu. It says Medalgim and Navi. You're allowed to skip around in a public Torah reading, a half Torah, when it comes to the Navi. But in Medalgim Torah, you can't skip around in the Torah. So how could it be that he read this and he went to this? How could he skip? This is also brought to Masechtas Megillah. If the Maturgaman, who translates it, is able to say it and take his time while he's going to another section, then it's acceptable. However, if it's not happening, then if it's too much time, then it doesn't work by the Torah. However, when it comes to by Navi, even if it's not even Kadesh Yisukah Maturgaman, we still allow you to be Medalgim the Navi. Valokatani, what do you mean? Medalgim the Navi, I mean Medalgim the Torah. The Ad Kalma Medalig, how much can you skip? It says Beferish, only the amount of time of that delay of the Maturgaman. Habatar Klak Lo, which is mashma, you can't do it at all when it comes to the Torah. This dispensation, this heter, is dafka by Navi, not by the Torah. So I'm by Lukash. One is by Inyan Echad, says Rashi. Could go and hachal, like here. Shishtem Parshos Medabras be'Inyan Yom Kippur. Both of them are talking about Yom Kippur. Therefore, Medalgan, we do skip. Provided that it's not any time elapsed, that the Maturgaman is going to translate it, and while that happens, because you're going Inyan Echad to the same Inyan, it's okay. When it comes to Navi, even if it's from one Inyan to the next, we're going to see now. V'sani b'nechus is a proof. Medal b'Torah b'Inyan Echad, v'Navi b'Shnei Inyanim. Kan v'kan b'Chdei shelo yasek haMaturgaman. Both of them has to be the amount of time, he says, that is shelo yasek haMaturgaman. However, when it comes to Navi, you can even go from one Inyan to another. However, when it comes to the Torah, it has to be within the same Inyan. Navi with Navi, you cannot skip from one Navi to another Sefer. When Navi shows Shnei Maser Medalgim. However, if it's just within the Shnei Maser, which are very small, so that you could skip from one to the next, as we continue to Ayin, you can't go all the way from the end to the beginning. Says Rashi L'mafreya. You can't go retroactively backwards. Let's see if there's any more questions. Question 10. Be'ez oifen mutter l'daled b'kriyas ha'Torah b'makom b'makom. So the answer is, it has to be b'chad in yana, and kadei shel yasik hamaturgaman. Ad kan.